Hello everybody, my name is Jay. I'm one of the expert OET teachers here at e2language.com. It's been a while since I've seen you and I know there is a test coming up on this Sunday actually. So what I want to do in this live class is look at some top tips for the OET test. So we're going to go through listening ABC, reading ABC, writing and speaking. Let's start with listening. So just to refresh your memory, in the OET listening test, in part A, you're going to hear two consultations between a doctor and a patient or something like that. Each will go for about 5 minutes each. In listening part B, you're going to hear 6 short workplace extracts of about a minute each, followed by a multiple choice question. In listening part C, you're going to hear 2 presentations or perhaps a lecture and an interview. These will go for about 5 minutes each and each will have 8 multiple choice questions. Cool bananas. Question 1, here's the top tip. Where do I write my answers? Well, for listening part A, you write the answers in the space provided in the booklet. You can see right there, number 1, that's where you write your answer. And for the multiple choice, for part B and C, you just simply shade the circle with your pencil. Question 2, do I have time to check my answers? Well, you have 2 minutes at the end of part A, B, and C to check your answers. Remember that you only hear the audios once. Question 3, do I need to write down exactly what I hear? Well, yes, for part A you do. Don't paraphrase or use synonyms. You write the exact word or the exact words that the patient says into those gaps. Question 4, can I use abbreviations in listening part A? Well, you can, but only very common and universally accepted abbreviations. For example, BP for blood pressure, but just be very careful with this, okay? It's better just to write the word fully or words fully. Question number 5, will I lose marks for misspelling words in the listening test? Well, particularly listening part A. The answer is no. But the spelling must be reasonably close because the examiners need to know what you're trying to say. And also note that this is different for reading and writing where you will be penalized for poor spelling. Question 6, how many questions do I need to get right to get a B or the equivalent of a 350? Well, typically, this is not a hard and fast rule, but typically you need to score at least 30 out of 42 to receive a B. Cool, that was listening. That was pretty quick. I hope you got those top tips. Now let's have a look at the reading top tips, okay? All right, so for reading part A, B, and C. So for reading part A, you're going to have 20 questions, some matching questions, some short answer questions, some gap fill questions. It's based on what's called expeditious reading. That is where you're going to have the 4 texts and you're going to have your 20 questions and you need to read across the 4 texts to answer those 20 questions, okay? In reading part B, you're going to have 6 multiple choice questions. Each question will have a text based on a workplace scenario of about 125 words, which is quite short. So a short little piece of reading followed by a multiple choice question. In reading part C, you're going to have 2 800-word medical texts, different topics. Each of those texts will have 8 multiple choice questions, so 16 multiple choice questions in total. So this one is also out of 42. For reading part A, you get 15 minutes and then your paper is collected. For readings part B and C, you get 45 minutes to do them both. All right, question 1. How are the reading marks distributed? Well, for reading A, you get 20, B, 6, C, 16. As I said, it's a total of 42 marks. Question 2, where do I write my answers for reading part A? Well, for reading part A, you write them in the spaces provided in the booklet. You can see there question number 8, what should be used to elevate a patient's fractured leg? You write the single word or the short phrase taken directly from the text into that gap. And for parts B and C, you just shade the multiple choice circle option, A, B, or C. Question 3, do I have time to check my answers? No. You have 15 minutes for reading part A, and that's it. and you have 45 minutes for reading part B and part C, and there's no more time after that. So answer the questions as you go. Don't save time at the end because there is no time at the end. Question 4, do I have to use the exact words as the text? Well, yes, in reading part A, you use the exact same word or phrase from the text. Okay, no synonyms, no paraphrases. Make sure that you spell it correctly because if you spell it incorrectly, it will be marked as wrong. Question 5, can I use abbreviations in part A? No. Question 6, how many questions do I need to get right to get a B or the equivalent of 350? Typically, not always, but typically you need to get at least 30 questions right out of 42 to receive a B mark. Cool, that's reading, that were the top tips. Now let's look at writing. Okay, so just a quick overview of the writing task, or the writing subtest, I should say. You get a set of case notes that are profession specific and you get a task. You need to write to somebody for a particular purpose. You have 5 minutes reading time to read those case notes and the task very carefully. Then you have 40 minutes to actually write your letter of between 180 and 200 words. Question 1. What date do I write? The reason why this is confusing is all of the practice material you get comes from the past. And so you have these dates from the past. But on test day, the date that you get will be the date of the exam, and that's the date you use, okay? So you will always need to write the date of the test. I'll show you where to put that in a second. But you may need to write the date of the patient's discharge or transfer, as well as any follow-up visits, etc. in your letter as well. So there may be 2 dates or more than 2 dates that you put into your letter, but just pay attention to that first one. You will always need to write the date of the test. Where do I write the date? You can write the date of the test at the top of the letter, or under the address and above the dear doctor or dear recipient. Both of these places are fine. I recommend just putting it straight at the top of the letter so then you just don't have to worry about it, okay? That's the first thing you do when you start. You write the date at the top of the letter, then you work your way down. Question 3, what happens if I write too many or too few words? Well, the word count is not strict, not like the IELTS test, for example. If you write too many words, you've probably included irrelevant information. If you write too few words, you've left out important information. Here, I would suggest that it's better to include irrelevant information. It's better to write more than to leave out critical information. So if your letter's short, like 160 words, for example, then you'll need to go back in and check the case notes and make sure you've included all of the relevant, important information there. Question 4, what should I call the recipient of the letter? Well, it will tell you in the task. It will say you're writing a letter to Dr. Smith, or you're writing to Mrs. Jenkins, or dear manager. If it doesn't say and it just says write a letter to the manager of the retirement, blah, 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 just write dear manager. If it doesn't tell you who you're writing to at all, if there are no clues given in the task, then just write to whom it may concern. That's just a nice little phrase you can memorize. What should I call the patient? Well, you can start with a salutation and their last name. A title and their last name, like Mrs. Black, and then you can refer to them by their first name, Jenny. Now, the title will also be given in the task or in the case notes, whether it's Mr., Mrs., Ms., etc. So just take it directly from the case notes. For a male, Mr. Brown, and then you can thereafter refer to him as Jack if you like, or you continue to call him Mr. Brown. It doesn't really matter. If you're writing about a child and the child is, say, under 18 years of age, just refer to them by their first name. For example, Jonathan. Don't say Master Jonathan. It's a little bit archaic or out of date. Okay? Question number 6, can I use abbreviations in my letter? Well, it kind of depends on who you're writing to, but let's say you're writing to another medical professional. In that case, common abbreviations are fine, such as BMI for body mass index or mg for milligrams. Don't use uncommon or localized abbreviations. They must be universal abbreviations. If you're unsure, write the full word. Simple as that. Question 7, how do I score a B or the equivalent of a 350? Well, to do that, you need to score around 5 out of 6 on each of the criteria, which are the overall task fulfillment that you write to the recipient of the letter, appropriateness of language, comprehension of stimulus. If you don't know what these things are, please check out our other YouTube videos where I explain these criteria in depth, or go ahead and check out e2language.com where we go through all of these criteria and we teach you how to write your letter directed at them so you can maximize your scores. Cool. So last one, OET format is speaking. Let's look at the top tips here just to refresh your memory of this particular subtest. You'll have 2 role plays. They are profession specific. You have 2 minutes to prepare for each of the role plays. Then you must speak for around 5 minutes. You're going to have a conversation with an interlocutor, in other words, an OET person who is going to play the role of the patient. Question 1, can I write on the role play card? Yes, you can. Question 2, can I hold the role play card while I'm doing the role play rather? Yes, you can. You should, and it's the only way that you would possibly memorize what you have to do. So what you're doing, in fact, is you're holding the role play card, you're speaking to this person, you're listening, you're looking, you're speaking, you're listening, you're looking like this, okay? Question number 3, can I ask the interlocutor, the OET person, questions about the role play card? For example, if I don't know how to pronounce a particular word, can I ask them? Yes, you can. If I'm unsure what I should refer to them as in the role play, I can ask them. Yes, you can. So do that. Question 4, will I be penalized for not completing the role play or finishing too quickly? Not necessarily. The role plays are designed to naturally end at around 5 minutes, and what they're specifically designed to do is just capture your language capacity, your language ability. So if you do finish it, if you go to 5 minutes and the interlocutor stops you, it's not a bad thing. So don't think that's a bad thing on test day. You haven't done anything wrong. It's very difficult to know when to finish at exactly 5 minutes. So it's fine, in other words. As long as you do follow through some of the tasks, or at least stay on topic, okay? That's critical. Question 5, what do I need to do to get a B or the equivalent of 350? You need to score mostly 5 out of 6 for the linguistic skills and 2 out of 3 for the communicative skills. If you don't know what they are, then you should watch the other video on YouTube, wherever it is, or check it out on e2language.com where I go through each of the speaking criteria in detail. Cool. Guys, if you're worried about your OET, perhaps you need some good practice materials. Maybe you want to get some feedback. Maybe you want to attend our daily live OET classes held by our OET expert teachers. You need to prepare properly, and you can pass with confidence if you check out e2language.com. We are a premium preparation provider. We are 100% online. We have everything you need to pass your OET test. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.